Hi girls, today we are going to learn about statements in JavaScript. Control structures or control statements. Decision making and branching. As we all know that a program is a set of statements which are executed in sequentially in the order in which they appear. Now in this decision making, we can select a block of statements and make the control to skip or continue with a particular control flow. That is, sequential flow is control, and either it can skip a part of the code and execute somewhere else. For that we are using decision making and branching statements. This happens when no options or no repetitions of certain calculations are necessary. In practice, we have a number of situations where we have to change the order of execution statements based on certain conditions, or repeating a group of statements until a certain conditions are met. This involves a kind of decision making to see whether a particular condition has occurred or not, and then the computer executes certain statements accordingly. In JavaScript, we have two types of statements, decision making statements. One is if and the other one is switch. If is a powerful decision making statement and is controlled to flow the execution of statements. It is also called as two-way decision statement, and it is used in conjunction with an expression. If you observe the syntax, if condition, true block statements, else false block statements. Here, if the condition is true, then it will execute the true block, or else if the condition is failed, it will go for false block statements. After completion of if, the next statement is x. For that, see the example. If x value is less than 0, then we have to represent that x as negative. If the condition is true, it executes x is negative. When it executes this statement, if x is less than 0. If the, see the another example. Here I am taking two variables, a equals to 5, b equals to 7. If a greater than b, I am printing any one number, that is which is greater. If a greater than b, if the condition is satisfied, then it will go for true block. What is there in a true block? Document dot write ln big equals to a. Or else if the condition is failed, a is greater than b condition is failed, then it will print b. Here in this example I have taken a as 5 and b as 7. 5 is greater than 7, condition is false. So it goes to the else part, that is it will print b. The first it tests the condition a greater than b is checked. If a is greater than b, then statement true block statement will be executed, or else false block statement will be executed. If the condition is true, a will be printed. If the condition is false, b value is printed. If else ladder. Using this if else statement to specify a new condition in a first condition is false. If I see the syntax, if condition 1, if the condition is true, it go for statement 1. If the condition fails, in the previous syntax we have seen false block with else statement. Now If the condition is failed, then again we check the condition with if in else part. That's why if the first condition is false, then if else statement condition 2 will be checked. If the statement 2 is checked, if the condition 2 is checked, then the statement 2 is executed. If the condition fails, it goes for the condition 3. So on condition n. See the example for this. Here in this example, I am taking book equals to max. If book equals to history, if this condition fails, it goes for the next if condition. That means book equals to max. Here if this condition also fails, then it goes for book equals to economics or else unknown book. This construction is known as if-else ladder. Conditions are evaluated from the top of the ladder downwards. A true condition is found, the statement associated with it is executed, and the control is transferred to the statement X, skipping the rest of the ladder. When all the n conditions become false, then the final else containing the default statement will be executed. Next statement is decision making is switch statement. When we have to select a code and a multiple choice, then we go for switch. We use a switch statement to select one of the many blocks of the code to be executed. If you observe the syntax, switch expression, case n, case for example 1, 2, 3, so on, case n. Out of these cases, we will execute any one of the case. The switch statement tests the value of a given variable or expression against a list of case values, and then a match is found. A block of statements associated with that case is executed. Let's see the example for this. Here, where account equals to 3, switch off account. Now the variable value is 3. Then the switch will execute case 3. If I said that where account equals to 1, then it will execute case 1. Case, what is there in case 3? Business accounts. The switch expression is evaluated once the value of the expression is compared with values of each case. If there is a match, the associated block code is executed. Or else, if it doesn't match with any expression, then it will execute the default case. Next one is decision making and looping. What is a loop? A sequence of statements is executed until some conditions are terminated if the loop is satisfied. A program loop there consists of two segments. One is known as body of the loop and the other one is known as control statement. Here we have two types of loops like entry loop and exit loop. And what entry loop does is, first it will execute the condition and then the body of the loop will be executed. Whereas in exit loop, it will execute the body of the loop and then check the conditions. It means that whether the condition is true or false, it will execute at least once in exit loop. In entry loop, it executes only entry condition. The control statement tests certain conditions and then directs the repeated execution of statements contained in a body of the loop. Here for these looping statements, we use while statement, do while, for in. This is about while statement. While is an entry loop. While loop execute a statement or a code block repeatedly as long as the expression is true. Once the expression becomes false, the loop terminates. See the syntax. While expression, statements to be executed if the expression is true. See the syntax for this. Here I am taking a variable count equals to 0. If count less than 10, then the loop is executed for the next coming values from 0 to less than 10 values. It is repetitively executing the same block of statements. See here, while count less than 10, it will print the count and then it increases the count. Again, it check the condition. For example, now the initial value is 0. 0 less than 10, condition is true. So the count value is 0. Next statement is count equals to count plus 1. 0 plus 1, 1. Again, the while loop is executed because the condition is satisfied here. 1 less than 10. Again 2, 2 less than 10. It will repeatedly executed until the condition is false. The expression is evaluated and if the condition is true, then the body of the loop is executed. After the execution of the body, the expression is once again evaluated. If it is true, the body is executed once again. This process of repeated execution of a body continues until the expression finally becomes. This process is repeated execution of body continues until the expression finally becomes false and the control is transferred out of the loop. On exit, the program continues with the statement immediately after the body of the loop. Next, coming to do while loop. Do while is an exit loop. It means first it will execute the body of the loop and then a condition is checked. If you observe the syntax, do code block to be executed while condition. The do while loop is similar to while loop except that the condition check happens at the end of the loop. This means that the loop is always executed at least once, even if the condition is false. See the example for the same program where count 0. Here, if the condition is true or false, the body of the loop is executed at least once. So count is 0. Document.write count, count plus plus. Now it will check the condition 0 less than 5. Now the condition is true. Again it will execute the do while block. Body of the loop is executed until the condition is fails. On reaching the do while statement, the program proceeds to evaluate the body of the loop first. At the end of the loop, the condition in a while statement is evaluated. If the condition is true, the program continues to evaluate the body of the loop once again. This process continues as long as the condition is true. When the condition becomes false, the loop will be terminated and the control goes to the statement that appears immediately after the while statement. This is about do while and the next one is for loop. In a previous two loops we are using while and do while. First initialization, then test condition, next incrementation. Whereas in for loop it includes the following three properties like initialization, test condition and iteration statements. What is initialization? We initialize our counter to a starting value. The initial statement is executed before the loop begins. This is called initialization. the test if a given test condition is true or not. If the condition is true, then the code given inside the loop will be executed. Otherwise, the control will come out of the loop. This is test condition. Iteration statement, where you can increase or decrease your counter. Therefore, the for loop is most compact form of looping. Syntax: for initialization, test condition, iteration statement. Open brace, statements to be executed in test condition for true. Same program, where count. In a previous loop, we initialize the count with value before the loop. Here, we are placing inside the loop for count equals to 0, count less than 10, count plus plus. So here it will check the count value. First initial value is 0. Then it checks 0 is less than 10. If the condition is true, then the statement is executed in the loop. That is, body of the loop will be executed. It will print the count value, that is 0. And again increment value 1. Now the count is initialized with 1. 1 less than 10. Again it will print the value, so on up to 9 values. It will fail when count value is 10. 10 less than 10 condition is failed. For is also an entry loop. Break and continue statements. We can skip a part of the code, or else we may continue with the same block of statements. Then we use this break and continue statements. Break jumps out of the loop. If we said break, then it will break that flow of control and jump out of the loop. Whereas continue, it continues the next iteration in the loop. Break statement can also be used to jump out of the loop. Break statement breaks the loop and continues the execution, the code after the loop. Here we are using a keyword break. See the example. For I equals to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus. For if I equals to 3, break. Here the loop will break if the condition I is equal to 3. Initial condition 0, next 1, 2, 3. Now the loop is break. If it is continue, the continue statement breaks one iteration. If the specified condition occurs and it continues with the next iteration in the loop. This is about if, switch, while, do while, for, break in and continue. This is about control structures. Assessment. Multiple JS statements are written inside a pair of dash to form a statement block. Either a pair of curly braces, a pair of square brackets, a pair of round brackets. Next question is JavaScript statements are executed by JVM, server, browser. Java statements are terminated by either slash, comma or semicolon. Thank you.